Hi, my name is Naomi Slater, and welcome to this free training on how to awaken your desire for women. And of course, that means essentially how to awaken your pleasure and power and how to develop a self-love practice. So before I get into all of that juicy stuff, I'd like to just tell you a bit about who I am. I am a Tantra educator, I'm a bioenergy healer, and I'm a yoga teacher. I also have a BA in psychology and an MA in conflict management and resolution. But the more interesting part of my story is actually how I was introduced to Tantra, and that is through my beloved husband, Navot. Today we have three beautiful kids, but at the time we had two. And after our second child, we kind of felt like the passion was lacking. We were fighting a bit more. It's just something was fizzling out. And it's not that the relationship was bad. We were not on the brink of divorce, nothing dramatic. But we were both feeling that there was something more for us, and that we both didn't really want to compromise. But actually, it came through my husband Navot, and he started practicing on his own tantra with himself. He was, developing his own self-love practice, and he wanted me to join him, and I was a bit resistant. I didn't really want to have to change, which most of us don't always want to do. I was thinking to myself, he wants me to now practice tantra, making love to him all of the time. I'm so busy, I'm exhausted, I'm working, I'm taking care of kids, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. What more could I possibly do at this point? I'm already feeling exhausted. And but Navot just kept, pushing on, and I realized that this is not going to go away. This is something that I have to really address. And I started, reading books and practicing, and we ended up started going to different workshops and learning more and experimenting more with each other. And it really transformed our relationship on a very, very deep level. But that transformation came through both of us transforming and exploring our own sexuality first on a very deep level. And that is now today what I help women do, and also couples. And now we are, of course, in a very different place in our lives and in our relationship, both sexually, both in terms of how we communicate with each other. We communicate very openly now about everything, and we've learned not to get offended by, what the other person is bringing up. So really, we've transformed our relationship completely. And one of the things that I help women understand is that they have to reclaim their sexual energy in order for them to actually feel turned on. So a lot of women have this notion that in order for them to enjoy sex, their partner has to know how to turn them on. Now, there's a bit of a problem with that line of thinking. It's not completely untrue, but it's mostly untrue. And that's because for a woman to get turned on, she needs to really, really understand her body and her sexual energy, especially if she's in a long-term relationship with the same person. So, of course, there's this beginning fizzle and passion and all of that, but usually after a few years, after a couple of kids, that will kind of die down. And if you don't know how to channel your energy, if you don't develop a self-love practice and reclaim your power, you're just not going to feel it. And it's also important, of course, that you explore your body so you know what your likes and dislikes are. So if you haven't explored your body in a deep way, which most women haven't, from my experience, your partner doesn't really know what you like. And because there's so much shame and guilt surrounding our sexuality, that a lot of women feel embarrassed. They don't really know how to communicate their likes and dislikes. They don't know how to communicate their fantasies, which is something that is unfortunate, because we have this idea that our sexual fantasies are sick and twisted, when really they could spice things up with our partner. They could create, new exciting avenues to explore. And So that's something that I help women do, is really first understand their own body, explore their own body, learn how to be ultra sensitive to sensation. And that starts with you touching yourself. So a lot of people won't really feel so much from this touch. Some people will because they've developed that sensitivity. But when you start to develop sensitivity to touch on a much deeper level, this in and of itself can feel really, really orgasmic. Yeah. Now, if we're talking about the yoni or the vagina, yoni is a Sanskrit term for vagina. If we're talking about the yoni, a lot of women are a bit desensitized there for a number of reasons. One, because they haven't explored themselves. Two, because they're holding on to trauma, maybe from sexual abuse, maybe from births, maybe from having sex with partners when they didn't really want to have sex with them, maybe from having sex with your husband, somebody that you actually love, when you're not ready to have sex. Okay, that's also something that over time creates trauma in the yoni and, of course, in our emotional body. So it's about understanding all of these things that are essentially and sexually affecting our energy. And there are lots of different ways, first of all, to clear out different emotional blocks that what we might be holding on to. And then, of course, once we've cleared out some of these emotional blocks sexually, there are lots of different tools that we can use in order to learn to channel and move our sexual energy. So one of those tools is using the nephrite jade egg or the yoni egg. And it's a semi-precious stone. Here is mine, made out of pure nephrite jade. And really what it is, it's a tool that we can use first to, of course, on the physical plane, really tighten our pelvic floor muscles and gain control over our pelvic floor muscles. And if we don't have control over our pelvic floor muscles, there are, of course, different physical symptoms that we might experience, like incontinence, which is common after women that have given birth, but not only. And on a more energetic level, if you have a weak pelvic floor, your energy is going to be leaking out of your pelvic floor. So you're going to feel probably fatigued if you have a weak pelvic floor. On the emotional level, the jade egg will press on different areas in your yoni that can help you to really move some blocked energy there. And spiritually, you really learn how to channel your energy. So your sexual energy is your life force energy. It's the same thing. And if you're blocked in that area, you're going to be blocked in pretty much every other area of your life. So whether it be your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your parents, maybe professionally you feel like you're not really satisfied, you're not really showing up, you're not maximizing your potential. So if you have blockages, which by the way, most people do, because we're living in a world which is sending us messages from the time that we're born that our sexuality should be hidden. It's something dirty. It's something we should be shamed. There's a tremendous amount of shame and guilt surrounding our sexuality. So just being born into this world essentially means that you're going to be somehow traumatized sexually. Of course, there are very different levels to that. Of course, somebody that's experienced real sexual abuse is going to feel way more blocked than someone who's just been born into this world and hasn't experienced sexual trauma firsthand. So I don't want to mistakenly make those two things exactly the same, which they are not. But it's important to understand that we all have work to do in terms of moving blocked energy in our sexual chakra. So that is what I do with women. There are, of course, other tools like pranayama, breath work, which I use, guided meditations, and lots of other tools that I use with women to help them get their energy moving and awaken their desire. So it's important that you know that your desire is yours, and you really, really need to learn to take that power back because that is what is going to make you a passionate lover, a passionate mother, a passionate person in your life. So if this speaks to you and you're interested in hearing more, feel free to schedule a 30-minute free clarity call with me. Below this video, you will see a link to my call calendar. Feel free to sign up. I would love to hear from you.